France's President Emmanuel Macron is hosting the One Planet Summit today in Paris, focusing on climate change. President Trump was not invited. In his first and only American network TV interview, Macron talked to CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor about his relationship with President Trump, Jerusalem, and climate change.
How often do you speak to President Trump?
Look, as often as we need. For instance, during the past weeks, we had probably 3 to 4 phone calls together. We have a very fluent and open discussion.
And you would characterize that relationship as friendly?
Yes, very direct.
You talked about Jerusalem.
Yes, exactly.
Before.
Yes.
And he said what?
He said that probably he will announce the fact that he wanted to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
And you told him what?
I told him I thought it was a mistake, because we've worked all together on the recognition of 2 states, Israel and Palestine, with borders recognized by the international community, and that such a unilateral decision is not compliant with our international discussions and our international rules, and will not facilitate a peace process, because that's a unilateral decision, and that's pretty much humiliating for the Palestinian side.
Was that a calm conversation? Was that a confrontational conversation? I
think it's always an open and direct discussion. You can agree to disagree, which is the case between us on some issues.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
President Trump says it's bad news because it's bad for the American workers, bad for American people.
I disagree with that. What he means, what he wants to say, expressing this point, it's bad for American workers, is just to say, I will have to close all plants, coal activities and all this stuff. I mean, it's true. You will have to switch from a model to another one. But, I mean, it's ununderstandable not to deal with reality and what we know. What we have to protect is people, not jobs. If you want to protect people, you retrain them, you help them in order to change their jobs to new ones, much more adapted and consistent with our commitments and our collective interests.
Why do you think the president pulled out of this?
First of all, he was elected by you guys and as the president of the American people. And second, he took a commitment during his campaign. I had a lot of discussion with him. We have a very good personal relationship. And I do believe it's important to have on board the US government and all the Americans. But I do respect him, and I do respect his decision. So I'm not saying he doesn't understand and doesn't share the analysis, but just he took a political commitment.
How much has the withdrawal affected your efforts?
I think the withdrawal, to be totally fair with you, created a huge momentum to me to create a counter momentum. I launched the same day of the announcement of President Trump's decision to leave Paris Agreement. I took an initiative called Make Our Planet Great Again. It creates a huge mobilization of a lot of countries saying, I do confirm. And you had, right after the US announcement, an acceleration of the ratification process in a lot of countries.
So just so I'm understanding, you say you're in better shape now because of this withdrawal? That the president did you a favor?
I think today we have a momentum, because I think we have 2 phenomena. The withdrawal of the US, which for me is a mistake, but it creates an impulse for a lot of others to say, okay, we have to react and do something, because it's impossible to leave the floor to a sort of dismantling of the Paris Agreement. Second, a deep wake-up call for the private sectors and some others to say, wow, so we have to react. Otherwise, basically, it will become a little bit shaky. Just think one sec, that if we decide not to decide, if we decide not to move and not to change our way to produce, to invest, to behave, de facto, we decide, you decide, to condemn billions of people in the coming decades. That's a big decision. And we will, all of us will be judged for that.
Jeff Glor's full interview with the French president will be airing today on our streaming network, CBSN.